The wind blew across the dusty plain of New Avalon. The twin suns hung high in the pale sky, casting long shadows over the small human colony. The people there were used to strange visitors, traders, explorers, and sometimes wandering mercenaries. But none of them had ever seen anyone quite like her. She walked slowly along the red road that led into the colony, her tall form wrapped in a torn gray cloak. The cloth moved gently with the wind, showing a glimpse of silver skin that shimmered like moonlight. Her eyes glowed softly, not bright but full of deep sadness and patience. Some colonists stopped their work to stare. A child pointed. "Mom, who's that?" The woman said nothing as she passed. Her face was calm, but her steps were heavy, as if each one carried the weight of many miles. Around her neck hung a small crystal, faintly glowing with blue light. She held it carefully as though it was the most precious thing in the universe. At the colony gates, 2 human guards watched her approach. One of them, a tall man named Grant, stepped forward and raised his hand. "Stop right there, stranger. Identify yourself." The woman lifted her head. Her voice was soft and slightly broken, as if she was still learning the human tongue. "My name is Vera." Grant exchanged a glance with the other guard. "You're Scifi, aren't you? You people don't usually travel this far from your systems." Vera nodded slowly. "Yes, I come. Looking for someone." "Who?" She held the crystal tighter and said one name, her voice trembling slightly. "Elias, do you know him?" The guards frowned. "Elias who?" Her lips quivered, but she didn't answer. She just repeated softly, "He is human. His name is Elias." Grant sighed. "Lady, there are millions of humans named Elias. You'll need more than that." Vera's gaze dropped to the dusty ground. She looked exhausted, like someone who hadn't rested in days. "I ask every world. Every home. Someone will know." The second guard leaned closer and whispered to Grant. "She's the one people talk about, the alien mother. They say she's been going planet to planet asking the same thing for years." Grant looked again at her tired eyes and the worn cloak. "How long have you been searching?" he asked. 3 years, she said quietly. 3 long years. Grant didn't know what to say. There was something powerful and sad in the way she spoke. He finally shook his head. "I'm sorry. No one here by that name. Maybe you should rest. The road isn't kind out there." She nodded slowly, thanking him in her own soft Scifi way. Then she turned and began walking again, heading toward the next settlement across the plain. By evening, the sky turned deep orange. The colony's people talked among themselves about the strange visitor. Some said she was mad. Others said she was a ghost of the war, still searching for someone lost long ago. An old man who ran the colony's bar told a group of travelers, "She's been sighted across 5 systems now, always asking for that same human, Elias. Never stops, never fights, never gives up. Just knocks on doors one after another." They all fell silent for a while, imagining the long, lonely journey of that alien woman. Meanwhile, far down the red road, Vera stopped to rest under a rocky arch. She took off her cloak and looked at the stars starting to appear. The night air was cold, but she didn't mind. She had seen colder nights, nights filled with fire and war. She opened her hand and looked at the crystal again. Inside it was a small pulse of blue light, beating like a slow heart. When she touched it, a faint memory echoed in her mind, a man's voice, warm and human. "If the day comes when the stars are quiet again, follow the light. Vera, it will lead you home." She closed her eyes and whispered, "I am trying, Elias. I am still following. Her people." The Scifi were proud and distant. They did not mix with humans often, except during the Great Zerath War. That was when she met him, Elias Kale, a human engineer. He was young, full of reckless courage. When her city was under attack, Elias disobeyed his own orders and flew into the fire to save her and her newborn child. He stayed until the last evacuation ship took off. Before he left, he gave her the crystal and made a promise. "I'll come back when it's over. You and your child will be safe." But the war ended, and he never returned. The next morning, Vera continued her journey. She reached a small human farm on the edge of the desert. A family lived there, a man, his wife, and their young daughter. When they saw the alien woman approaching, the father came out with caution. "You're a long way from the cities. What brings you here?" Vera smiled faintly. "I search for a human. His name is Elias. Maybe you know him." The farmer looked puzzled. Sorry, ma'am. Never met anyone with that name around here. You sure you're on the right planet? Perhaps not, she said softly. But I will ask, as I always do. The farmer's wife stepped forward. You look tired. Would you like some water? Vera hesitated, then nodded gratefully. Thank you. You are kind. The little girl peeked from behind her mother and asked shyly, Are you really from another world? Vera smiled at her gently. Yes, from very far away. The girl stared at the glowing crystal. It's pretty. Is it magic? It is a memory, Vera said softly. A promise made by a good man. The farmer's wife looked at her with pity. You've been looking for him a long time, haven't you? Vera nodded. 3 years. Every door I knock, I hope it will be the one. The farmer shook his head sadly. That's a long time to be alone. Vera looked up at the horizon. I am not alone. Hope walks beside me. She thanked them for the water, then continued down the road once more. The little girl watched her go until she disappeared into the red dust. Weeks passed. Vera crossed barren lands, broken roads, and busy spaceports. Sometimes humans offered her food or a ride. Sometimes they just stared. Everywhere she went, she asked the same question in her soft voice. Do you know a human named Elias? Most said no. Some didn't even answer. But once in a while, someone would pause, thinking hard, as if the name touched a buried memory. In a crowded market on the colony world of Pharaon, an old merchant stopped her. Elias Kale? I remember that name. There was a human engineer by that name during the Zerath War. They say he saved a lot of people. Vera's heart raced. Do you know where he is? The merchant frowned. No one knows. His ship was lost. They said he died a hero. Vera shook her head slowly. No, he promised he would come back. He is not gone. The merchant only sighed. If he is still out there, may the stars guide you to him. That night, Vera stood on a cliff overlooking the glowing city lights. Her cloak fluttered in the cool wind. She lifted the crystal again, watching the light pulse softly. Elias, she whispered, I will find you. Even if I must knock on every human door in this galaxy. The stars above seemed to shine brighter as if listening to her vow. The legend of the alien mother began to spread through the colonies. News channels showed blurry recordings of her visits. Some called her a lost soul. Others called her a symbol of hope. No one knew her full story, but they all knew her question. The simple, haunting words she asked again and again. Do you know a human called Elias? And somewhere, far away, in the silent wreckage of an old battlefield, a broken beacon blinked faintly in the dark, waiting for the one who still believed. The world of Solara 9 was a place of dust and heat. 2 suns burned in the orange sky, and the ground shimmered like molten glass. Human miners worked deep beneath the rocky surface, pulling metal from the earth for the rebuilding of the galaxy. Few strangers came there, and even fewer stayed long. But that day, the miners saw something strange walking down the ridge. A tall figure wrapped in a gray cloak, silver skin shining faintly beneath the sunlight. She moved slowly, but her steps were steady and full of quiet strength. The workers paused as she approached their outpost. Their leader, old Rin, leaned on his shovel and frowned. Well, I'll be... Another traveler in this heat? That's rare. The alien woman stopped before him and lowered her hood. Her face was tired, but her golden eyes glowed softly with hope. Please, she said, her voice calm but shaking slightly. I am looking for someone. A human named Elias. Rin's brows rose. Elias? That's a common name, ma'am. You got a last name? Her lips trembled. Elias Kale. The miners around them exchanged glances. The name was old, a whisper from the war years. Rin's face slowly changed. Elias Kale. You mean the engineer from the Zerath Wars? The one who saved the Sarathi civilians? Her eyes brightened instantly. Yes, you knew him? Rin sighed and looked down. I didn't know him personal, but I fought in those days. That man was something else. Disobeyed orders to protect alien refugees, they said. Got half his ship blown up in the process. Vera's hands shook slightly as she clutched her glowing crystal. He saved me and my child. He promised he would come back. The miners went quiet. The air around them felt heavy. Rin scratched his beard. Well, I'll be. You're one of those Sarathi he rescued, ain't you? People said he went missing after the last battle. His ship never came home. Vera looked at the ground. 3 years I search. He is not gone. I feel it. He still lives. Rin looked at her with pity. Lady, the war took many good men. If he's alive, he's hiding deep. She lifted her head slowly. Then I will find him. Even if I must walk forever. The miners offered her water and shelter. That night, Vera sat near their campfire, listening to the sound of human laughter echoing through the desert. It reminded her of him, Elias laughing while repairing his ship's engine, hands covered in grease yet eyes full of life. Old Rin sat beside her, handing her a small cup of tea. You sure got a strong heart, miss. Most would have given up by now. Vera smiled faintly. Hope keeps me walking. Rin nodded. Ain't that the truth? When I was young, I lost my whole crew. Only thing that kept me alive was the hope I'd see another sunrise. She turned to him. Humans in Sarathi are different. But maybe not in the heart, he chuckled. Maybe not. She looked at the twin suns setting over the dunes. When Elias saved me, he didn't see me as Sarathi or alien. He just saw someone in need. I still remember his words. Her voice softened, repeating the memory that never left her. No one deserves to be left behind. For a long time, the camp was silent. Even the youngest miners listened, feeling something stir deep within them. Later that night, when the fire had burned low, Vera took out her crystal again. Its blue light pulsed gently, matching her heartbeat. She whispered to it softly, as if speaking to the stars. I have not stopped, Elias. Every world, every home, I ask your name. One day I will find the door that opens to you. Her words carried across the desert wind, mixing with the hum of machines and the endless song of Solara 9's twin suns. The next morning, Vera thanked the miners and prepared to leave. Rin stopped her before she walked away. Hold on, he said, reaching into an old box. He pulled out a small metal disc, scratched and dusty. This here's an old data chip from the war days. I got it off a wreck we found 2 years ago. Has some comm logs from the human fleet. Maybe it's got something about your man. She bowed deeply, gratitude in her golden eyes. Thank you, Rin. I will never forget your kindness. He waved her off. Bah, don't thank me. Just find what you're looking for. The galaxy could use a story that ends right for once. She smiled faintly, pulled her hood over her head and started down the long road again. That evening, Vera reached a small rest station near the edge of the desert. It was old and mostly empty, with one service droid running the place. She sat in a corner and connected the metal disc to her handheld translator. The screen flickered with static, then displayed faded text logs. Many were corrupted, but one stood out. Message from Lieutenant Elias Kale. Human fleet. Final transmission. Her hands trembled as she opened it. The message began with a burst of static, followed by a faint, tired voice. To whoever finds this, our ship is hit. Most of the crew's gone. We're near the Zerath Nebula. If Vera gets this message, tell her I kept my promise. I saved her people. I'll come home if the stars let me. Vera's heart pounded. His voice, it was real, alive, full of warmth even through the broken sound. Tears formed in her eyes. You are alive, Elias. You kept your promise. The transmission ended there, but at the bottom of the file, a line of coordinates flickered faintly before disappearing into static. She whispered to herself, I will find where you sent this. I will follow the trail. The next day, she boarded a small cargo shuttle heading toward the nearby trade hub of Nerath Station. The pilot, a middle-aged human named Joran, noticed her quiet nature. You look like someone chasing ghosts, he said with a chuckle. Vera looked out the window at the stars. Not ghosts. A promise. He raised an eyebrow. A man, then? She nodded. A human. He saved my life. I searched for him. The pilot grew serious. You're the one they talk about. The alien mother looking for her human. It's been all over the news feeds. She didn't answer, just kept staring at the glowing lights of distant worlds. Joran sighed. You know, lady, most people give up when hope hurts too much. But you're different. Vera smiled faintly. Humans taught me something important. Even when everything burns, they keep walking forward. I walk as they do. When they landed at Nerath Station, she searched for more clues. She visited data archives, military outposts, and old veterans. Some remembered the name Elias Kale. Some didn't. But one old mechanic, a woman with cybernetic eyes, pulled up an ancient map. There was a small distress beacon in the Zerath Nebula sector 2 years ago. The mechanic said, human code. Could be a ghost signal. Could be him. Vera's breath caught. Where exactly? The woman marked the coordinates. There, but be careful. That region's full of wrecks and radiation, not a place for anyone to go alone. I am not alone, Vera said softly, placing a hand on her crystal. He walks with me. The mechanic watched her leave, whispering, "That's one determined lady." That night, Vera rented a small cabin on the station. She stood before the window, watching ships jump into hyperspace one after another. Each light trail reminded her of Elias's smile, the one that gave her hope when her world was falling apart. She whispered into the night, "The suns rise and fall, and still I walk. You saved me, Elias. Now it is my turn to find you." The stars seemed to shimmer as if answering her call, and far away, in the forgotten dark of the Zirath Nebula, a single human beacon blinked weakly, still waiting to be found. The space around Nerath Station buzzed with ships and travelers. Traders shouted prices, engineers argued over tools, and lights flickered through thick windows. But among all the noise, one figure moved in silence, her gray cloak brushing against metal floors, her golden eyes scanning every face. Vera had been there for 2 weeks now. Every morning she visited the records office, the communication towers, and the old veterans' quarters. Every night she returned to her small cabin with no answers. But still she did not give up. Her crystal glowed softly whenever she thought of his name. "Elias," she whispered each night, "you left a trail. I just have to find it." One evening she went to the Fleet Memorial Hall, a quiet place filled with holographic plaques showing names of those who served in the war. The hall was long, the lights dim, and the air cold. She walked slowly along the rows of names, humans, Sarathi, and others who had fought together. Her fingers brushed the glowing walls until she found what she was searching for. Elias Kale, status, missing in action. For a moment, her heart stopped. The words "missing" gave her hope, not pain. Missing meant not gone. Missing meant waiting. She stood there for a long time, whispering softly, "You are not lost. I will find you." Not far away, inside the Human Alliance's central office on Nerath Station, a young officer named Lieutenant Mara Holt sat at her desk, reviewing old war archives. She had been following rumors about the alien mother. Her curiosity grew stronger each day. Her friend, Officer Tane, noticed and asked, "Still digging through ghost files?" Mara smiled faintly. "I can't help it. This Sarathi woman, she's been looking for the same man for 3 years. There's something real behind her story." Tane shrugged. "People chase dreams all the time. Maybe the guy's dead." Mara frowned. "Maybe, but something doesn't fit. There are encrypted transmissions from the Zirath Nebula, same coordinates she's been visiting. And they carry fleet security codes. Only someone alive could have sent them." Tane leaned closer. "You think he's alive?" Mara nodded slowly. "I think there's a chance." Later that day, Mara found Vera near the memorial. The alien woman stood silently, looking at the wall. Mara approached carefully. "You're Vera, aren't you? The one searching for Elias Ko." Vera turned her head slightly, her expression calm but tired. "Yes, do you know him?" Mara shook her head. "Not personally, but I've read his files. I serve in the same fleet he once did." Vera studied her for a moment. "Then you understand why I search." Mara hesitated. "I do, but I also know the war was full of chaos. Many ships were lost in the Zirath sector. It's dangerous to go there alone." Vera's eyes glowed faintly. "Danger does not stop love or promises." Mara couldn't find words for a moment. She had seen courage before, but not like this. Quiet, patient, endless. "I might be able to help," she finally said. There were strange signals in the nebula. Human codes. Maybe connected to him. Vera's voice softened. "Then we go." Mara looked surprised. "You mean right now?" "Yes," Vera said. "Every day I wait, the stars grow colder." That night, Mara searched through old fleet logs until she found what she wanted. A faint signal from the Zirath Nebula, recorded just a year ago. It repeated every few hours. A coded message made up of 3 words. "Still, keeping. Promise." Mara's eyes widened. "That's him," she whispered. She sent a copy to Vera. When Vera heard the recording, her hands began to tremble. The voice was weak, distorted, but human. And to her ears it was him. She closed her eyes. "Elias, you are still there." But when they brought the report to Fleet Command, the officers dismissed it. "Old automated signal," said Commander Roan. "We've seen hundreds like it. Could be an echo or a malfunctioning beacon, Mara argued. But the encryption key matches Elias Kale's fleet ID. That can't be a coincidence. Roan looked annoyed. Lieutenant, I admire your enthusiasm, but chasing ghosts won't help anyone. The war's over. Let it rest. Farah stood silently beside Mara, listening to every word. Her expression didn't change, but her eyes dimmed slightly. When they left the office, Mara said quietly, I'm sorry. They won't approve a search mission. Vera looked toward the window where the stars shone faintly beyond the station's shields. Then we go without their permission. Mara blinked. You'd really go into that nebula alone? I have gone alone for 3 years, Vera said. It will not stop me now. Mara hesitated for a long time. Then she sighed. You're going to get yourself killed. But if that signal really is him, someone should know the truth. She looked around, then whispered, Meet me at Dock 12 tomorrow. I'll bring a ship. The next day, before sunrise, the station was quiet. Vera stood at Dock 12, her cloak fluttering gently in the artificial wind. She carried only a small bag, her translator, and the glowing crystal around her neck. Mara arrived a few minutes later, dressed in a simple pilot's jacket instead of her uniform. We'll take an old recon ship, she said. No one will notice we're gone. They boarded the small craft and prepared for launch. As the engines came online, Mara glanced at Vera. Once we enter the nebula, sensors will be useless. It'll be pure navigation, Vera nodded calmly.
I will find him by light. Mara frowned slightly.
By light? Vera held up the crystal. This holds his energy. It glows stronger when I am near. Mara smiled softly. You really believe that? Vera looked at her, her voice quiet but certain. Belief is what makes hope live. The ship left Nereth Station behind and entered hyperspace. Stars stretched into long white lines as they raced toward the Zerath Nebula. Inside the cockpit, Mara watched the alien woman sitting silently, eyes closed, holding her crystal as if it guided her through the dark. For hours they flew in silence, until finally the ship dropped out of hyperspace. Before them stretched the nebula, a swirling storm of blue and violet gas glowing faintly under hidden suns. It was both beautiful and haunting. The sensors crackled with static. Broken wrecks drifted like ghosts between the clouds. Mara's voice dropped to a whisper. This place gives me chills. Vera stared at the glowing mist. This is where he was last seen. They flew deeper. The ship's lights flickered as electrical storms rolled around them. Then suddenly Vera's crystal brightened. It glows stronger, she whispered. Mara checked her scanners. There's a faint signal ahead. Could be that beacon again. Go, Vera said. They followed the weak signal until a dark shape appeared through the fog. An old human ship, broken and tilted, half buried in the nebula's dust. Its nameplate was faint but still readable. HSS Dawnlight. Mara whispered, That's his ship. The one declared lost. Vera's eyes filled with tears. He was here. They landed carefully near the wreck. The airlock hissed open, and silence filled the corridor beyond. Inside, everything was cold and lifeless. Metal walls were scarred from battle, but on one wall, written in human script, were words scratched by hand. Still keeping my promise. Mara shivered. He left that for you. Vera touched the wall gently, her fingers trembling. He was alive when he wrote this. They searched further, and in the command deck they found something else. A small device still blinking faintly. A message beacon. Mara connected it to her console. The recording began with static. Then a familiar voice echoed through the empty ship. If she ever comes, tell Vera I kept my word. Vera closed her eyes. You did, Elias, you did. Mara looked at her, realizing what this meant. He might still be alive somewhere. That message wasn't sent long ago. Vera stood tall, her crystal glowing bright as a star. Then I will keep searching until I find him. Outside, through the nebula's clouds, a distant beacon flickered faintly in the void, waiting for the one who still believed. The Zerath Nebula stretched before them, a graveyard of stars and metal. Vera and Mara's small ship drifted carefully among the wreckage, each shadowy hull a reminder of battles long past. The clouds of violet and blue gas shimmered like a storm frozen in time. Vera's crystal pulsed faintly in her hand, guiding her deeper into the field of broken ships. He was here, she whispered, her voice trembling slightly. I can feel him. Mara's eyes scanned the sensors. Most of these ships exploded or fell apart. Whoever survived had to move quickly. The signal we're following is weak, but it's real. Maybe he's still alive, somewhere in the dead sector. The dead sector was infamous in human and Sarathi history. Years ago, entire fleets vanished there, swallowed by a storm of radiation and drifting wrecks. Few dared enter, and those who did rarely returned. Vera's hands tightened on her cloak. I have no choice. He waited for me. I will wait for him, no matter the danger. Their ship carefully navigated around twisted metal and broken satellites. The nebula was deceptive. Bright clouds hid spinning debris, and every step could bring them into deadly collision. Mara steered with precision, her hands steady despite the tension. Hold on, Mara said. The signal's stronger up ahead. Something is sending it, or keeping it alive. Vera's eyes glowed as she rose from her seat. He is close. I can feel him now. They followed the signal to a massive wreck half buried in drifting ice. Its hull bore the scars of countless attacks, but the ship's name was still faintly visible. HSS Dawnlight. Mara's voice was barely a whisper. That's the ship from the final battle, but how is it still sending a signal? Vera stepped closer, clutching her crystal. It is not the ship. It is him. His hope lives here. The airlock hissed open. Inside, the ship was dark, cold, and silent. Dust and debris floated in the low gravity. Broken consoles flickered with residual energy, and panels showed signs of hurried repairs long ago. Vera walked carefully, every step echoing softly. She touched the walls, scanning each metal surface for traces of him. Then she saw it. A small, blinking beacon hidden under a shattered control panel. Mara carefully pulled it out. This is old, but it's still transmitting. Could be a log or message from him. Vera knelt beside it, her eyes fixed on the faint pulse of light. Play it. Static filled the cabin. Then through the distortion, a familiar human voice spoke. Soft, tired, but alive. If she ever comes, tell Vera I kept my word. I could not return sooner, but I saved what I could. She will know hope is real. Vera's eyes filled with tears. She whispered, Elias, you kept your promise. Mara glanced around the wreck, uneasy. We need to be careful. There could still be radiation or unstable structures inside this ship. Vera nodded. I do not fear death. I fear missing him again. As they moved deeper, the wreck revealed more of its secrets. Hallways twisted and collapsed, rooms filled with equipment broken by blasts, and personal items lay scattered, books, photos, small toys from human children. Vera picked up a faded photo, the image of Elias smiling with a group of Sarathi children behind him. Her hand trembled. He cared for them, she whispered. Even in war, he thought of others. Mara's voice was quiet. He was extraordinary. The fleet never spoke enough of him, but the stories, the lives he saved, they were countless. Vera's gaze returned to the beacon. If he is alive, he left another signal. Something hidden, waiting for me. Mara studied the readings. There's a secondary signal embedded in the same transmission. Human encryption, strong. Whoever sent it wanted only someone specific to find it. Vera's eyes brightened. Then he meant for me to come here. Hours passed as they worked through the ship. The nebula clouds pressed against the hull, shaking the craft with small electrical storms. Every corner held danger, collapsed ceilings, exposed circuits, and floating debris that could pierce through metal. But Vera and Mara moved carefully. The beacon pulsed stronger as they approached the bridge, guiding them like a heartbeat through the wreck. Finally, they reached the command deck. Broken consoles lined the walls, and a faint holographic map glowed dimly. Vera knelt, holding her crystal close to the hologram. Coordinates. Saved. Survivors. The message repeated faintly. It was incomplete, but it pointed to a location outside the nebula. A green planet, untouched by war, hidden from prying eyes. Vera's heart raced. He survived. He is not gone. The survivors, his family, are alive. Mara placed a hand on her shoulder. Then we follow the coordinates. But we have to move fast. These storms will not wait for us. Vera nodded. I do not fear the stars. They guide me to him. Before leaving, Vera paused. She looked around the wreck, seeing the empty chairs and silent consoles. This place was his home, his battlefield, his prison. And still he left a path for me. Mara quietly packed the beacon into their ship. It's amazing. The message survived all this time. Years in a nebula that destroyed so much. It's almost human, isn't it? Hope enduring against impossible odds. Vera smiled faintly. Humans taught me that. Even when everything seems lost, they never stop trying. That is why I search. That is why I will find him. Mara nodded. Then let's finish what he started. The path is clear now. They left the wreck behind, carefully navigating through the dense nebula. The stars flickered faintly beyond the gas clouds, guiding their small ship toward the new coordinates. Vera clutched her crystal, its light pulsing in time with her heartbeat. She whispered softly, Elias, your promise led me here. Now I will see you again. Mara watched her from the cockpit, impressed by her courage and patience. I've never met someone like her, she muttered. 3 years traveling alone, facing storms, debris, and despair, all for one man. That's something extraordinary. Vera's voice came again, soft but firm. Hope is what keeps us alive. No matter the distance, no matter the danger, hope never fades. Days passed as they traveled toward the green planet indicated by the beacon. Vera kept a careful watch, her crystal glowing brighter whenever they neared closer. Mara helped navigate, keeping them safe through asteroid belts and lingering nebula storms. Finally, the outline of the planet appeared, a small world, lush with green forests and rivers untouched by the destruction around it. Vera's heart leapt. He is here, she said. He waited for me, and now I will find him. Mara smiled. Looks like your search is almost over. Vera looked at her companion, grateful. I could not have come this far alone. Humans, they teach me courage and patience, and now they guide me home. Outside the window, the sun rose over the green planet, casting golden light across the clouds. It was a new beginning, a promise fulfilled. 3 years of searching, endless doors knocked, countless miles traveled. And finally, the path to Elias Kale had been revealed. The dead sector, with all its wrecks and shadows, had led her to hope again. And soon she would see him. The green planet glowed under the light of its twin suns, rivers winding through forests, mountains standing tall against the sky. From orbit it seemed peaceful, untouched by war or chaos. For Vera, it was a promise fulfilled. The coordinates from Elias's beacon had led her here. Her ship descended slowly, engines humming softly. Mara monitored the landing, guiding them to a flat clearing near a river. The ship touched down with a soft thrum, stirring small clouds of grass and dust. Vera stepped out first. The warmth of the planet's sun touched her silver skin, and for a moment she closed her eyes, savoring the feeling of being close. We are here, she whispered. He is near. Mara glanced around, cautious. We don't know what we'll find. It could be abandoned or worse. Vera shook her head. It does not matter. He left a path. I will follow it. They walked along the riverbank, following faint markers left by Elias. Every step seemed guided by the pulse of her crystal, which glowed brighter as they drew nearer. Birds chirped, and the wind carried the scent of fresh grass and water, a stark contrast to the nebula's cold emptiness. Finally, they came to a small human settlement. It was simple, almost hidden among the trees. Smoke rose from chimneys and children laughed in the distance. Vera's heart raced. Somewhere here. He was waiting. Mara's voice broke the silence. Do you know which house? Vera shook her head. I will know him when I see him. The heart does not lie. They approached the settlement cautiously. The people there were wary of strangers, but no one blocked their way. Something in Vera's presence, the quiet determination in her glowing eyes, made them step aside. The first house they reached was modest, wooden, with flowers lining the small garden. Vera stopped in front of the door. Her crystal pulsed stronger than ever, almost like a heartbeat. She reached for the door handle. Her fingers trembled slightly. "This is it," she whispered. "The last door." Mara stepped back, giving her space. "Are you sure?" Vera nodded. "I am certain." With a deep breath, she knocked. Once, twice, 3 times. The sound echoed faintly through the quiet morning. The door opened slowly. A tall human man stood there, older than the memories in her mind, but unmistakable. Elias Kyle. His eyes widened as they met hers. "Vera," he breathed, his voice trembling. You found me." Tears filled her eyes.
"I promised I would," she said softly.
"I knocked on every door in the galaxy. 3 years. I never stopped." Elias stepped forward, reaching out his hand. I thought I was lost forever. I didn't know if anyone would ever come." Vera smiled, tears running down her silver cheeks. "Hope never leaves, Elias. Not for those who believe." They embraced, and for a moment the years of separation vanished. Mara watched quietly, feeling awe at the scene before her. A woman from another world had traveled across countless systems, through storms and dead sectors, all for a promise. And now that promise was fulfilled. Elias held her close, looking into her glowing eyes. 3 years. You came all this way for me?" "Yes," she said, her voice steady. "Because you saved me. Because you promised. I could not stop until I found you." Elias's eyes glistened. "I never stopped thinking about you. About the child you carried. I always hoped you were safe." Vera smiled. "We are here now, and we will be safe together." Inside the house they sat and talked for hours. Vera learned that after the war, Elias had survived the wreck of the Dawnlight. He had helped other survivors, building shelters and helping people start new lives on this hidden planet. He had sent the beacon not just for her, but to mark a safe haven for those he could not save immediately. "I never thought anyone would follow the beacon," he said quietly. "I left it hoping, but never expecting." Vera placed her hand on his. "I followed. I believed. And now we are together." Mara, standing near the window, watched the two of them. She smiled softly, knowing the galaxy had witnessed something extraordinary. Faith, hope, and determination that spanned worlds and years. Days passed, and the settlement welcomed Vera. The humans there were curious about her silver skin and glowing eyes, but she was gentle and kind, earning their trust quickly. She repaired small machines, helped in the fields, and shared stories of her travels. Elias showed her the small haven he had built, homes for survivors, a school for children, and fields of crops growing under the twin suns. Together they worked, laughed, and slowly healed from the scars of war. One evening they sat by the river watching the sun set. Elias took her hand. "You traveled the galaxy for me. I don't know how to thank you." Vera smiled faintly. "No thanks are needed. You taught me hope. That is all I needed." He squeezed her hand. "Then let's never be apart again. Not ever." Word of the reunion spread slowly through the galaxy. People spoke of the alien mother who had knocked on every human door, never giving up until she found the one she sought. Her courage and patience became a symbol, not just of love, but of the strength that humans inspired in others. Mara eventually returned to her post, carrying the story with her. She reported Elias's survival, but kept Vera's journey a secret for those who might doubt it. She knew some things in the galaxy were too extraordinary to explain, yet too true to ignore. Vera and Elias spent their days rebuilding, teaching children, and exploring the planet together. They often visited the riverbank where Vera first stepped onto the green soil, feeling the warmth of hope at last. One night, under the twin moons, Elias asked softly, "Do you ever regret your journey?" Vera shook her head. "Never. Every door knocked, every star crossed, every storm faced. It led me here. To you." He smiled, brushing a lock of silver from her face. "Then I owe you the rest of my life, to show you the same hope you gave me." Her crystal glowed softly in the moonlight, a gentle heartbeat echoing the promise they had both kept for so long. And so after 3 years of searching, countless doors knocked, and endless light years traveled, the alien mother found her human. The promise was fulfilled. The heart that never stopped hoping finally rested. Together they stood beneath the twin moons looking at the stars. Vera whispered, Every star in the galaxy witnessed our journey, and now, we are home. The wind carried their laughter across the rivers and forests. For the first time in years, Vera's journey had ended, not with a question, but with an answer. Not with loneliness, but with the embrace of the one she had never stopped believing in. And in the quiet of the green planet, under twin suns and moons, hope finally found its home.